Welcome to Life Ideas Worth Sharing. In this video, we will talk about what is Buddhism. There are many in-depth videos spoken in Mandarin, presented by monks, with insights not shared in English. My goal is to bring the English version to the interested viewers. I will produce the contents without difficult terminologies that are hard to remember and sometimes confusing. I will also simplify down to the core values that you and I, the average person, can understand. Therefore, I am skipping who is the释迦牟尼for Buddha that found enlightenment under the Bodhi tree several thousand years ago in India. I guess one of the most important mysteries everyone have on their minds are using mantras for wealth, health, and relationships. Does it work? We will cover this, talk about it as well. But if that's what you're interested, please skip forward to the back of the video. First, Buddhism is a way of life, the teaching of the cosmos, how it works. 释迦牟尼佛 referred to as the eternal truth. Before it is a religion, when one can understand the truth or the way, therefore one can choose how to live. The two fundamental principles of Buddhism are 1. Seed and harvest, or cause and effect, or also known as karma. And second, reincarnation. Seed and harvest, cause and effect, is called 因果. However, the meaning of karma is perceived incorrectly as the English speaker understands it. The best way to explain is, if you plant apple seeds, you will harvest apples when the time is ripe. You can't plant apple seeds and expect to harvest oranges. It is a condition of one's results. Karma is not an emotional nor positive or negative attribution, nor a way of vengeance. It is simply just the results of actions. This is the way the universe conducts its accounting. The result of one's actions are banked, known as 福报. In direct translation, it means fortune, reward. Please make note, 因果 and 福报 works together. One's actions or results gets banked into 福报, which is every deed one has committed, good and bad, and so on. And it's referred to as karma. If one makes good deeds, one will receive good fortune. And if one sins, one will receive bad outcomes. One will receive what one deserves when the time is ripe. In other words, one is the creator and the master of one's own fate. Reincarnation. Many people cannot grasp that concept very well. I think it is just the way it's been interpreted. So instead of reincarnation, think of it as where one goes after. We come to the human realm to live for the maximum of 65 to 100 years. It might seem much, but rather it is quite short in comparison when the physical body dies, the soul, the spirit, or the conscious never dies. It lives on forever. Sometime one goes straight into reincarnation after death, or sometime gets stuck in between suffering. Based on the karma, the soul will go where it needs to go. So if one committed killing, and that one will go to hell. Depending on the type of sin, one might reincarnate into an animal or become a hungry ghost. There are 6 different realms, depending on one's karma. It will take one to either one of the 6 realms. They are 1. Gods, 2. Demigods, 3. Human, 4. Animal, 5. Ghost, and 6. Hell. Also remember, in all these 6 realms, life is referred to as 众生. 众生 means all the beings. In English, it's sentimental beings, but I will just call it all the beings or beings. If one done really well, like a saint whom have saved countless of lives during their lifetime on this human realm, might move to the God realm after death, depending on the level of 福报. One may become a demigod or return as a wealthy human. Sins and acts like cheating, stealing, lying, greed, destruction, and killing takes one to the lower 3 ranks: animal, ghost, or hell. One's wealth is based on 福报 or karma. How much one deserves is based on the karma. In life situations, it's quite very often you see in a workplace, subordinates of a boss are much capable, but they have different salaries. Sometimes the secretary of the CEO is much more capable, but they have different salaries. This seems to be true most of the time. So if one wants to be wealthy, one must be committed to be doing good things, good deeds to accumulate 福报. Based on these 2 principles of life, life continues to cycle. Birth based on karma, life creating karma, and death, where one will go after, is determined by karma. Souls keep cycling in one of these 6 realms to learn and experience. Unfinished businesses, desires, lust, greed will bring back a soul to experience. Therefore, one has many lifetimes. Eventually, the soul matures and gains wisdom, realizing this cycle can be tiring, therefore seeking refuge in nirvana. Because one had many lives, karma is not just what one creates this life, but the karma of many lives. Everything that is happening to one's life today is the creation of one's karma accumulated over and over different lifetimes. Some might wonder, everyone supposedly have different fortune, fate. Then how come in natural disaster events, sometimes it takes a few hundred lives away? What does that have to do with karma? Karma manifests when all the necessary elements and conditions come to one point. This can be time, other parties involved, situation, circumstance, because they share the same karma. They were brought together at the same point of time of the event so that it can be manifest. Therefore, everything in life doesn't happen by accident. The view of life. There are 3 poisons that cause life sufferings: greed, desire/anger, and ignorance, the root of all sufferings. In Mandarin, it's called 贪嗔痴. The physical body dies, but the conscious soul lives on eternally. What one takes after death is karma, 福报. All of the experiences achieved are left behind. Human life is an illusion. What makes one feel real and tangible to this world is through time and man-made values. However, after death, there is no time. It is eternity. And the measurement or the concept of time in the 6 different realms are different. Life is short and full of sufferings. Birth, becoming old, sickness, and death. The state of life is always changing. Happiness versus disappointment can be enormous, sometimes leading to sickness. Sufferings come in many forms. The happiness that we know as human in this world are through the personal gains of the 3 poisons: desire for money, relationships, and power, so on. But none of this is permanent, sometimes short-lived. Therefore, when things don't go as planned, they become sufferings. And some people even commit sins to get what they want. So the view of life with Buddhism is that when there is no sickness, therefore is healthy. When there is no suffering, therefore is happiness. Let's talk about the religion part of the Buddhism. Buddhism focuses on the compassionate heart, the Bodhi heart, a heart pure intent. In Mandarin, it's called 菩提心, 慈悲心, and 佛性. But I think it's a little bit hard to actually translate them correctly. And I think those are the closest meaning English can get to. For the people who are living, it's regard to the teaching of the way in the cosmos, the logics of the cosmos, how to live life through the training of practicing compassionism. This means to comfort, relieve others that are suffering. When you focus on helping others and all the beings, 众生, you discover the truth and the meaning of life. It's more about the bigger picture, about life in all life, not about the individual or the independent life. Because in Buddhism, nothing survives on its own. You have to breathe to survive, and you have to eat to survive. And just to survive, there are other natures and people at work so that you can survive. Someone plants seeds into the rice field so they can harvest rice, and someone brings it to you so that you can be fed. And you need the nature, you need the water, and you need the air and sunlight to create in order for the life to happen. So that therefore, the bigger picture in Buddhism is about all, not an independent self. Buddhism is not praying to a god or a Buddha so that you can have personal gains and favors such as wealth or health. Rather, quite the opposite. The idea is understanding all beings are suffering. Some are suffering in a way that needs assistance. Buddhism focuses on the benefit for all beings. Refuge, salvation, or relief the pain or the suffering for all. Buddhism is not a self-centered or the I development. When one detached from the I, therefore one is with the universe and all. That is the main concept. I'll give you one example of what is a suffering being. This is just one type of an example. Abortion as an example. Once the fetus have heartbeat, it's like a blueprint of one's house planning to be built. Therefore, that soul is getting ready to move into the fetus. But if one aborts the fetus, by the time the soul arrives, there is no house to live in. Imagine that. Imagine that logically, how would one feel? If the soul's karma has another plan, it will be saved and reassigned. But if the soul didn't have an alternative, it will have no choice and will be left with nowhere to go but stuck in the between worlds, like a ghost. The soul that have lost the opportunity to become live and cannot run the course is supposed to. Therefore, it is suffering in ways you can't imagine. If you can feel the pain or relate to, imagine a fetus alone, scared, lost, and nowhere to get help. But if you picture this, and if this was a human baby, now one can kind of easily relate to that pain. And many would probably rush to help. However, just because we cannot see or hear, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So there is just this one example, but there are many types of 众生 that are suffering in different ways. And people just don't see it from this realm. And it takes the pure heart or the purest intent and clarity when you can be unblinded to able to sense and see what is happening in the different realms. The goal of Buddhism are to comfort and help those that are lost, the lost souls, and all the 众生 to cross over to whether return to light, or you want to call it heaven or home. In the modern world, people think if you cannot see, then that doesn't exist. So for those whom have aborted, sometimes the soul is still attached to the parents. The soul usually let one know by hindering or making trouble to inform one there is a problem, needs help crossing over. Aborting a fetus with heartbeat in Buddhism is considered an act of killing. And this is a karma one need to deal with at some point. Now, we will go into addressing the mantras. Do they work? The mantras and the prayers are directed to the 众生 who are suffering. Chanting the prayers, 回向, reflect your effort to those suffering so they can receive the blessing to be comforted, cross over, find the path to the light, direct them to heaven. That is what the mantras and the prayers are actually for. For example, when you say Om Mani Padme Hum, it means to close all doors, only remain the heaven door open in light so that they can realize, the 众生 can realize and be guided by the light to heaven. Some 众生 doesn't know they have passed away or died. So if you have been misled about the mantras and the prayers, thinking it brings health or wealth or healing as a personal gain, then probably best not do it. However, if you truly understand there are suffering 众生 and have the compassion to conduct this chanting mantra as a service with the purest intent without the expectation of anything in return. Therefore, the universe take your kind actions and turn them into 福报 or good karma. And this is one of the methods Buddhism teach how to change one's karma. Because we know that what goes around comes around. And therefore, when you make a good deed, a positive action will bestow upon you. And therefore, good deed receive good fortune, bad deed receive bad fortune. That goes with thoughts and the intent in one's heart. And everything in life doesn't happen by accident. everything that manifests was a creation of the past karma. With that, I am going to end the first video here. Thank you very much for listening in.